Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Josh Kang, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000 in an attempt to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century in an alternate universe that we just refer to as the Ultimate Universe. So Josh and I have been almost every week covering Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and what have you. And now we are finally back to doing what we normally do on this podcast. It's been a lot of weeks of covering either movies or we took a week off, and then we talked about Paul last episode, which was super fun.
In a great episode.
I thought we agreed we weren't calling it that.
No, you said you're not calling it that, but the script
I called
said
it It's Paul Over Now.
The script says episode. Just saying, shouldn't we stick to the script?
And who wrote the script?
Tomato potato. You did. We did.
Yeah, who titled the script?
We're moving past Paul.
So yeah, we're finally back to talking about Ultimate Marvel. We are talking about today Ultimate X-Men number 50 through 53. This 4-part story written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Andy Kubert. So this is a pretty fun batch of issues. Josh, what did you think?
I like this issues. By the way, so I've read ahead years ago. Ultimate X-Men gets a little unhinged, and you see the roots of it here. I feel they've always been here. Ultimate X-Men was always a little kooky.
Yeah.
But this was a fine arc. I think it was fun to read. I love seeing the characters interact with each other. But many of the things that will make the later series a little unhinged, you can see it here.
Yeah, there are a few elements in these issues that I do take issue with, mainly having to do with just the characterization of a few of the X-Men and some of the choices that they make and the way that they behave throughout this story. We'll get into that. But for the most part, I think it's a really good story and well told. And I think especially the spotlight on Rogue and also the reintroduction of Gambit in these issues is super well done. Yeah, we haven't seen since the Chuck Austin 2-parter way back when, like early on in the series when Mark Miller and Adam Kubert were still on the title.
Also, later, there's a weird Easter egg in this arc that I did a lot of detective work for, so I hope you all are happy.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't wait to hear you talk about it.
It was like a day of my life was spent doing this side quest. So yeah.
And thank you for your service, Josh.
Thank you.
You're truly a hero.
That's right. Men. I know.
But let's just you want to just dive right in, Josh?
Yeah. We start off with Jean in her regular thing, levitating while on fire. Because the Phoenix Force at this point is really vague. I honestly don't remember how it goes in Ultimate X-Men. Because it's like, the whole thing is that it's fake. But Jean goes through so many, and Jean and her powers go through so many changes in terms of, like, the aesthetics of her powers. Like, she's on fire. Yeah. And I don't actually know she's on fire if, like, it's just, like, we're supposed to see her as readers as her on fire, and no one else sees her on fire, but, like, she's on fire while she's levitating and meditating.
Yeah, no, that's right. It opens on this big splash page of Jean just levitating while she meditates in order to kind of control both her telepathy and telekinesis, she says, because sometimes they both kind of get out of control and intermingle and interfere with each other.
Yeah.
And that's when Cyclops approaches Jean, and they have a really nice conversation. You know, it's the usual stuff of Scott being worried about Jean and her power and her ability to control it. We also get this fun scene where Jean, on the other hand, encourages Scott maybe to let go a little bit, since he's always trying to keep his powers in check with like keeping his ruby quartz glasses on and not being able to take them off for fear of losing control of his optic blast. So there's a scene here that's really sweet where she takes off his glasses for him and lets him just let loose and just blast his optic blast into the sky. And I think this is a lot like, especially like they're looking at the sunset, there's this beautiful scenery and this landscape, and I think it does remind me a lot of the original Dark Phoenix saga in the comics, the original Chris Claremont, John Byrne stuff. It's similar where they're like out on the desert and they're just looking over at this view, and of course Scott's worried about Jean in that scenario too, but Jean also famously takes off his ruby quartz visor and uses her telekinesis to control his optic blast and allow him to see. This is a little different because she just lets him like let loose with his blast into the
Yeah.
sky, but it is pretty similar to that, and I think it maintains the spirit of the characters in that Jean has all this power and Scott has all this power, and it's interesting to see how they balance each other out. Scott is so concerned about control, and I think Jean is a little more encouraging for Scott to just let loose and let go a little bit more.
I'll also say, like, it's not hard in this scenario for Scott to be in control because, like, all you gotta do is keep the glasses on. I have glasses. I could keep them on. You could keep them on too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, imagine if you could never take them off.
That's true. Also, I know this is me being lame. It does also remind me of the scene from X3 because I think that came around
Yes.
this time. This came out 2004 because there's a scene where Jean takes off the glasses for him there too.
Yeah, and to be fair, that was directly inspired by the Dark Phoenix saga because
Yeah.
X-Men: The Last Stand was just a really botched version of the Dark Phoenix saga. But yeah, she does the same thing in X-Men: The Last Stand where Jean takes off Scott's glasses and allows him to control his abilities right before she kills him. But that's neither here nor there.
To be fair, I'll say like the newer X-Men movies also botched the last Phoenix saga, the Dark
That's
Phoenix
true.
saga. So
Yeah, it's well known that the movies have not been able to get it right, have infamously butchered the story twice, but
which is hilarious because like we got so many iconic performances of certain characters from those movies, but they're all performances of characters from movies that are generally not good.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Scott actually says he's back from Coney Island, and that's where we're gonna see the X-Men. Is like the next scene is the remaining X-Men are on the Coney Island.
Yeah, this is a very fun kind of setting to start the story for the rest of the X-Men is because they're all at Coney Island and it starts with Colossus trying to do this classic carnival game where you like have to hit the mallet and like ring the bell. You have to be strong enough.
Yeah.
And he's been trying for a while apparently and he still can't beat this game.
I have a problem with that because if the game's rigged, Colossus is still strong enough to still beat it.
Well,
Should
I
be.
mean, he's in his human form here, so
Oh.
like he's still strong when he's just a regular guy, but when he's in his metal form, that's when he's super strong, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny. He's like, this game is rigged, and he's like trying so hard to win a present for his little sister Ileana back home.
Which means magic is in this universe.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
she's around. She exists. I think she's back home in Russia.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really sweet of him and also really funny that he's like getting so frustrated by this.
Yeah. Rogue, Bobby, and Kitty are hanging out. The Rogue and Bobby are on a date, and she's actually wearing giant gloves, you know, PPE.
PPE?
Personal protective equipment. It's what you're supposed to wear when you're at a job that requires safety, like hazmat, if you're an inspector, if you're a construction worker.
Dang, all right.
Yeah.
I just learned something new today.
I know. I can't believe you don't. I always forget, like, some people don't have jobs where you're out in the field every once in a while, and you actually have to, like, learn, like, OSHA rules.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a barista. I mean, I follow, like, health and safety guidelines, but, like, it's different when you're actually working in construction and, you know, environmental work and things like that.
Environmental field work, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's different. But
no, but it's nice that, like, you know, like, because everyone always makes fun of Rogue is that, like, she's still scantily dressed because most, like, that's why the way she's drawn in the comics, but, like, if you touch her, you die.
Yeah.
Oh, and here they actually put gloves on. And also, she's not scantily dressed in 616. Just really here.
Yeah, because it's early 2000 fashion where she does have the midriff and everything, too.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Rogue and Iceman are together. Dazzler is hitting on Colossus, being like, oh, yeah, you want to, like, make out?
And she goes, like, call me Allie.
And it's hilarious because, like, Dazzler is very much into Colossus. And I mean, yeah, he's a hunk. But also, I'm like, babe, he's gay. Like, come on.
He is most likely gay. We don't actually know if he's gay. He's just most likely gay.
Yeah, but, like, it's pretty clear he's had the hots for Wolverine for some time.
Another problematic age gap thing, but
yeah, but like it's kind of sweet. He's just an innocent boy. He's got a crush on an older guy.
Dazzler is honestly kind of a horn dog in these comics.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, she's horny as hell in these.
And there's a good scene where like she goes like, "Why not?" And he goes like, "Well, you have more metal in me than I do." I was like, "Oh, Dazzler's into drugs."
Well, also she's got like 1 billion piercings too.
Yeah, I interpreted it as drugs, but yeah.
But you can see in the illustration she's got piercings all over her face.
Yeah, but based on her other characteristics, I also assume at these punk rock shows where she makes allegedly bad music, she's on a ton of drugs.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah. Also, she goes like, yeah, and also like Professor X roofied me because there's no like reason for me to be here with you guys, but I'm sticking with you. So I think he's using his psychic powers, and they're all like, no way. And look, I
Yeah.
think they're right, but also this Professor X is kind of like morally dubious. He definitely would like mentally roofie you to like be in his gang. So
Yeah, I could see that happening, but we have no confirmation at this point. And then we also get a cameo from Wolfsbane in this
yeah,
because Storm and Wolverine see a sign for the freak show, it says, which Storm takes issue with because she's like, okay, well, they're clearly just exploiting her because she's a mutant. And but Wolverine makes it a really good point, being like, well, people have to make their own decisions, and she's doing what she's got to do. And also,
like she's making money.
yeah, she's making money. So it's really like, okay, is she being exploited or is she exploiting just how the way humans view her so that she
Yeah,
can make money? You should see a shot of Wolfsbane with a bunch of the other people in the carnival there, and they all seem to be happy and chilling out and having a good time.
yeah. It's she's with a mix of other mutants and other people with disabilities.
Yeah, I
Like,
think I see Puck there from Alpha
oh,
Flight, might
interesting.
be. Or he just might be another little person, who knows?
Yeah,
And there is again a hint of romantic feel attraction between Storm and Wolverine here,
she kisses him on the
which,
cheek.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, didn't we just go through this with Jean? Stop with the children, Logan.
Like so, Jean and possibly Colossus. I'm like, hey, like 19-year-olds. What's the appeal of this guy? He has a big, short, hairy dick.
Yeah. He's
Like,
got the sauce. I mean, to be fair, when Brian K. Vaughan is writing Wolverine, for the most part, he's a lot better than like the Mark Miller version
yeah,
in Ultimate.
canonically, they have to call back to the Mark Miller version in a few issues, but
Yeah.
it's still really weird because I'm like, oh, you met her when she was like 16. You're like, at least 90, dude. It
Yeah. I
ain't
mean,
good.
being Wolverine's age, it seems problematic no matter who he really dates. But at the same time, the fact that she is very young, she's one of the students, and he should be more one of the staff members. It
Yeah.
seems a little icky.
I will say it's a little better written than the Jean one because, like, at
Yeah,
least with this one, seems more natural, which I think it
it
was
does.
going that direction in the regular comics anyway. So, but in the
Yeah.
regular comics, they're both. I mean, technically, she's also a legal adult here, but if you gotta say technically she's a legal adult, like
If you
it's
have
not
to
a
clarify, it's like, okay, this is already pretty dicey.
yeah. Like you and I were talking about this, but this is the problem with a lot of like 2000s nerd media is like the way they write women is like borderline illegal. Like the big one being like the Transformers movies, like the most obvious example of like sexualizing 17-year-olds or like taking a break from the movie to go, oh, it's okay, even though I'm like 21 to bang the 16-year-old. And I'm like, hey, man, if you got to take a pause of the movie to explain it, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that. It's
No,
disgusting.
totally.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we'll get into this a little more as the story continues. Bottom line, I love like Storm and Wolverine together, and in
yeah,
this version, it's still better than Wolverine and Jean. But yeah, the age stuff is a little icky.
yeah. Back in the X Mansion, Angel and Kurt are pretending to be pirates and wizards in the danger room, and they're like, "Hey, does the professor know about this?" And he goes, "He doesn't know," and he's watching. The professor's just laughing his ass off and having fun
It's
watching them.
really fun seeing Nightcrawler and Angel kind of like LARPing in the danger room because they're just like acting as pirates. It's a really fun scene between the two of them, just having a good time and hanging out. It shows a lot of the fun-loving, like swashbuckling side of Nightcrawler that we love, like everyone knows and loves from the main universe,
Yeah,
transferred over here.
and of course, I really like the fact that Professor X is like having fun watching them. This Professor X is becoming chiller and chiller.
Yeah, and I think it's also important because Nightcrawler and Angel are the only ones on the team that have like very visible mutations that
Yeah,
can't blend in with the rest of society. So if they had to stay home and not go to Coney Island, I'm glad they got to still have a good time and like keep each other good company.
to be fair, Coney Island kind of sucks.
They weren't missing much. I mean, I would rather be in the danger room role playing as pirates
I would
myself.
rather watch a movie about pirates than be in Coney Island.
Damn. All right. Well, I've never been, but those are some strong words.
I've never been either, but it's just a giant amusement park on an
You're
island.
saying it's overrated and you've never even been there?
I've been told what it is by many people, and I'm like, I don't need to go to an amusement park on an island. I could just do anything else with my life.
All right, well, I would experience it first before saying anything.
Just spend some time working at amusement park, and you will hate amusement parks.
That's why I would never do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But back on Coney Island, Kitty is talking to Iceman while Rogue is in the bathroom, and
You mean Ice
Kitty's.
Boy?
I mean, sure, he's always been called Iceman, but she's really jealous of Rogue, clearly. And she's like, yeah, you guys can't even touch each other. How are you even dating and all this stuff?
That's messed up. She's like shaming people now. That's little. Kitty's being a little messed up.
She's being pretty nasty in this because she's clearly just jealous
Yeah.
and wants to be with Iceman in this version.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of a thing in like other media outside of 616. Every like movie and TV show for a bit try to get Kitty and Bobby together for a while.
yeah, I mean, if you look at X-Men The Last Stand or like the Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon, there is a lot of that. And I'm like, okay, but he's also gay, as we learn later. But that's fine.
Well, straight enough to bang Rogue's mom in the 90s.
Mystique?
Yeah.
That was the 2000s, but...
Tomato potato.
Still the worst and dumbest decision Iceman has ever made, canonically. Getting together with Mystique. Never do that.
Yeah.
But Rogue gets out of the bathroom, and then she sees there's this very strange, like, abrupt kiss that happens between Iceman and Kitty, because she was egging him on about how he can't, like, be intimate with Rogue, and they can't even touch each other or whatever. And then he just kisses her, and then she just is like, okay, and lets it happen, and seems to really enjoy it.
She moans and her eyes roll back.
And it seems really weird. I'm personally like, maybe something else was up here, because he just suddenly kisses her, and also afterwards Rogue punches Kitty out and knocks her out, and Bobby has no idea why he kissed her. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know.
It's also Rogue sees a kiss right as she's coming out of the porta potty.
Yeah, I'm like, that's rough.
So they're not officially together. They're just like kind of dating. That being said, the thing with comics is if you don't like something, you could just come up with a batshit answer like mind control or time travel to erase it. I'm like, look, in the 2000s, like, it was just a thing for, like, bully characters to date each other and, like, have secret feelings for each other in media at the time. This is probably just it. It's just two horny teenagers going at it and having this intense relationship because they kind of don't like each other while having feelings for each other and then just making out. You saw this in other media. You saw it in every rom-com. You saw this in Young Justice at the end of season 1. This just was a thing back then.
I don't know. The way it was done, the way it was written, and the way it was shown, it kind of felt like maybe something's going to come up later, because it was so abrupt. And also later, Iceman seems like he has no idea what happened. So I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of weird mental shenanigans were going on there.
No.
But
man,
we'll see.
You just gotta watch more like Hallmark movies and rom-coms.
Or you should read more X-Men, because this kind of shit happens all the time. No.
This is obviously like a natural thing that happens in like these romantic comedy stuff. And what happens is if writers don't like it, they're just gonna erase it with some back poop crazy story about time travel. I don't even know
if that's the case. I think it's not even a matter of not liking it. I just think that's how it seems like it was set up, or something is being set up here from the way it was written. Because it was very abrupt, and also Iceman seemed like he had no idea what happened. So I'm interested to see if something happened there, or maybe not.
It's two horny teenagers going at it. That's it.
I'm going to disagree with you there. And if you don't like the convoluted romance retcons and stuff, you shouldn't be reading X-Men.
You know what? You're fair. To be fair, you're right on that one. There's a bunch of crazy ones out there.
Anyways, getting off that tangent, then Kitty's KO'd. Bobby's like, hey, what the hell? And then someone checks in on them, and it's Gambit. And Gambit has returned. He's got really curly long hair. And Bobby's like, hey, fuck off, get out of here.
David Blaine.
Yeah.
That's a 2000s reference.
I mean, everyone knows David Blaine.
He's not a thing anymore, I feel. No one knows who he is now.
They recognize the name, at least.
Yeah.
But then he, like, turns into Iceman, but then he gets, like, knocked out by Gambit, who like easily takes him out. Yeah. And then the rest of the X-Men are like, hey, what the fuck, who are you? And Gambit then just like knocks over a Ferris wheel with his powers just to distract them.
So they could play superhero while he grabs Rogue, which is what is after. Which is interesting because that's what's happening in 616. Is that when Gambit gets like attacked by X-Men or Avengers, he just also attacks civilians, gets them to like save them, and runs away.
Yeah, and I think that's something that has been criticized in the main universe,
Yeah.
especially if you look at the recent, a couple of years ago, there was the Rogue and Gambit miniseries that happened around the time of like Fall of X and everything, or right before that, and people weren't fans of that because he tied someone up and left them as a hostage for Black Panther to save them, and it seemed kind of nasty, especially if he's supposed to be a hero in this universe now. So it makes sense for this version of the character though, because he seems a little more morally gray.
I don't think we've had a heroic Gambit in media ever outside of the comics. If you think about the
X-Men the animated series.
Okay, I forgot X-Men the animated series.
Like the whole 90s show, which is the reason for his popularity.
Okay, everything other than the animated series, he's always been a morally great character.
That's true. Like in X-Men Evolution and Wolverine and the X-Men and the X-Men live action movies, for sure.
Yeah. And I guess the Deadpool movie is heroic because he's just in a different universe. But
yeah.
Channing Tatum.
But the X-Men then go to stop the Ferris wheel and save the civilians while Wolverine takes on Gambit one-on-one. And he's doing pretty well until Gambit first threatens to supercharge his claws and make them explode. So Wolverine retracts his claws. And then Gambit literally takes his staff, charges it up, and puts it in Wolverine's mouth, which makes he literally blows up Wolverine's head.
And while he's blowing up, he goes, "It's not about the size of the staff, it's how you use it."
Yeah, I don't even remember that, but that's crazy.
It's a dick joke.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Rogue's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "I'm not a murderer. I'm a thief, and I've been sent here for you."
Yeah.
And that's how issue 50 ends, is that he's been sent here to retrieve Rogue for some reason.
And this goes with Gambit's character. He's a thief. In the 2 issues he was in before, he's not a villain. He's like a guy with a good heart deep down.
Yeah. No, that's true. But we'll see more on that as we continue. Issue number 51 opens up with Gambit playing solitaire in this isolated room, and Rogue wakes up in this chamber, and he's like, hey, he's clearly flirting with her, as Gambit always does with Rogue, and she's not biting.
It's a little creepy because, like, this guy's in his 30s. She's, like, in high school still. It's a little weird.
Yeah, speaking of age gaps, this is weird.
This is actually legally worse than the Wolverine age gap ones because she's actually in high school in this one. So
yeah, they're gonna make a comment later on in this arc about how he's like twice her age. I really like the relationship in most versions, and especially in the main comics. And in this story arc, I like the Rogue and Gambit stuff, but I think the one issue, is the age gap.
And I don't know why they insist on it, because I don't think it's to be edgy. I don't like it when they do it for edginess, because I don't think it's edgy. I think it's disgusting. But I don't think they're doing it because they're edgy. I think they just think it's okay. Is like the writer just thinks it's okay for some reason.
Yeah, it's not great, but
yeah,
I'm just gonna pretend like it's not there.
Yeah.
We cut to 1 hour earlier where Wolverine is shown with like half of his face gone.
Yeah.
He was like lying down, and he literally looks like the Terminator, because like half his face has been blown off and like the metal from his skull is showing.
To be fair, the Terminator movies were just now like finishing up, so
yeah, I think it's really just a coincidence, but it's a cool visual. But he gets up pretty fast because of healing factor, baby. And he's like ready. He's like, "Where's Rogue? We gotta find her." And they're like, "Hey, you just got half your head blown off." And he's like, "Nope, I'm going." And there's this cool panel of literally him just marching along with half his face blown off, with the other X-Men standing behind him. And Iceman stubbornly wants to join Logan.
He tells Kitty, "This is not about like revenge. It's about finding the girl I love." And I'm like, dude, you're 15.
Yeah, and also, what do you mean?
Yeah, this is like your second date with her, but 15-year-old horny kids who just make out with other girls, make stupid decisions because they're 15 and stupid, and not because they're mind controlled or manipulated by magic. Just saying.
Listen, we haven't even finished the Brian K. Vaughan run, so who knows? Well, Colossus tries to stop Iceman because he's like, hey, you're an underclassman. You should not be going with Wolverine. And then they start arguing, of course. But there's a cool moment of leadership where Storm like steps up and is like, hey, break it up. Like, I'm going to join Wolverine. The rest of you guys go back to the mansion and talk to the professor, because the first time Gambit appeared, Storm and Professor X and tried to recruit Gambit, and unsuccessfully, of course, but Storm recognizes him and is like, all right, tell the professor to scan for Rogue, and if you can't find her, scan for the mutant called Remy LeBeau. So they head off, and meanwhile we cut back to Rogue in captivity, and Gambit's like trying to appeal to her, being like, hey, I'm taking you for a good purpose. I want to give you a better life than you have in the mansion. She totally tricks him and kisses Gambit on the mouth, stealing his powers and his memories, and we get this cool page, this full page of just like glimpses into Gambit's memories, his like life as a growing up as a thief, being abused, it seemed like, as he was trained to be a thief.
Kind of like in 616 where he's associated with a Thieves Guild, and here it's more like Oliver Twist. Because I guess
No,
it's like,
totally.
at a certain point you really can't just add in like this whole other layer of lore with the Thieves Guild and everything. But we also see him trying to horn dog it up with a French speaking girl and her being held hostage.
Yeah, so clearly like he had this great love in the past, and then her life was threatened and she was held hostage, and he had to do what his captors said.
Yeah.
So clearly he's been through it, and he's not a bad person. He's just been through the ringer, and he's been under bad circumstances.
But kissing him basically, and she does, I think she assaults him too, knocks him out.
Yeah, she like beats him up after getting his powers, and so she runs out of her cell only to find a bunch of soldiers waiting for her.
And not just soldiers, these are guys with like gas masks, they're fully covered up.
Yeah, exactly. Like a SWAT team is pretty much waiting for her.
Yeah. Professor X is having trouble back at the mansion finding the two of them, and he goes like, I think there's like some kind of psychic block on them. And Dazzler goes like, yeah, we didn't catch much because Gambit made us pretend to be Ultimates for a bit, which is a fun,
which is a fun reference to
Yeah.
the broader Ultimate Universe,
yeah,
and also how Dazzler really just does not want to be a superhero. Honestly,
yeah. Dazzler doesn't even like being with them. That's why she thinks she's shanghaied into this when she's not.
Yeah.
She's just into Colossus for some reason.
Yeah, I mean nothing wrong with that.
She's a horn dog.
Yeah,
You know, all these characters in this arc are horn dogs. Remy's a horn dog, but he literally like the first thing Rogue sees in him is like a naked girl. Rogue's a horn dog. Kitty's a horn dog. Bobby's a horn dog.
Again, this is the X-Men. If you didn't want to deal with horny characters, you shouldn't be reading the comics.
I like the personal relationships in the regular X-Men comics. I don't like the horn dogginess. You know, why is everyone a horn dog? Most people in life are not horn dogs.
That is entirely false, Josh. The X-Men have always been horny.
I said people in real life aren't horny.
If you can't accept the horniness of the X-Men, and there are plenty of horny people in real life, by the way, then you should not be reading the X-Men.
I grudgingly accept the horniness of the X-Men. I grudgingly accept it.
All right, good. Then we can move on.
I grudgingly accept it. But they don't have to be horny here. Especially because they're teenagers, most of them.
Yeah, did you know that teenagers are like hornier than the average person?
I did not know that. I remember when I was a
The
teenager.
more you know.
I was not at all as a teenager. Just saying.
You're a special boy.
Exactly. Some would say a mutant.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Uh-huh.
But Cyclops says that he could tell that like Gambit knew how to take down each of them at Coney Island, even Wolverine. So he's clearly gotten intel from benefactors that he's working for.
He only took out two of them, Iceman and Wolverine. And maybe Colossus, I can't remember, but I think he only took out two of them.
It was really just Iceman and Wolverine.
Exactly.
But the fact that he knew how to take down Wolverine, and also he knew to just make the X-Men play heroes because he knew they would, means that he had intel on them, and he was like, all right, if they're busy saving lives, then I can get out of here.
Yeah.
Jean and Professor X decide, well, if the professor's not able to break through these psychic barriers, then Jean and Professor X will put their telepathic powers together to find Rogue and Gambit and push through these psychic barriers.
Yeah, they have everyone exit out the room. And like in this arc, it gets a little creepy between Professor X and Jean because there's maybe hints that he's into her, which is also pretty gross.
Yeah, they have a pretty close connection in this arc specifically, and we'll get into more hints of that as the story goes on. But yeah, knowing the Professor and Jean's history in 616, it is a little off-putting.
And the Professor's history with other women in this universe too.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah. They're back at Rogue, she beats the shit out of all these goons.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool sequence. Like, I love when Rogue takes someone's powers and starts using it as an expert. I know so many people love the classic 90s cartoon version of, like, this is Rogue with Carol Danvers' powers, who has super strength and flight and invulnerability and everything. But I love when she just has her ability to absorb other people's powers, and she's able to use those powers very creatively and feel like an expert pretty quickly. It's fun to see her do this.
I always forget that like Rogue has super strength because they don't really, other than the anime series and of course 616 where it comes from. Rogue never has these other abilities. It's just in like the animated series and the main comics. Because then you gotta go like, oh, like how does she get these main powers? Oh, she got it from a person who's not a mutant.
Yeah, it's a complicated history, so it's tough to explain. So they could only really do that in the main comics, and of course in the 90s series, because at the time in the 90s, in the comics, she had Carol Danvers' powers.
I think she still does, doesn't she?
She does now, but like there have been times on and off where she hasn't. So like when cartoons like X-Men Evolution were coming out, or Wolverine and the X-Men, or I think even like the X-Men movies, they just had her without any of Carol Danvers' powers. A, because it's probably too much baggage to explain, and B, because for a good chunk, I feel, of the 2000s, she didn't have those powers anymore.
Rogue tries to escape, but when she breaks open the window, she realizes they're at the Empire State Building.
Yes, that's right. It's a big reveal. They're way high up in the Empire State Building. And it's also revealed that Gambit's mysterious benefactors are Andrea and Andreas Strucker, who are known as Fenris in the main comics. And in the main comics, they are also a pair of Nazis, mutants, and incestuous siblings. So it's really like a triple whammy of like, oh my god, that's so much to unpack. In this version, they're not Nazis, but they are mutants, and it's very heavily implied that they are incestuous, if not almost explicitly stated.
I think it is explicitly stated at the last one, in the last issue. Spoilers, but...
Yeah, but here they are the co-presidents of this company they own called Fenris International.
They're a company for mutants by mutants, and they basically donate their profits to helping mutants, basically.
Yeah.
And also they steal.
Yeah, their whole thing is like, we want to empower mutants economically, and in order to get a leg up on our human competition, we need corporate espionage from agents like Gambit, and then they want to recruit Rogue as well to commit this corporate espionage against human corporations.
And they use Gambit because he's like an expert on this, on corporate espionage, because he's a thief.
Yes.
And what's interesting is that Marvel, the 616 mutants do go this route for a bit with X-Corps during the Krakoa days.
Yeah, it was a very short-lived miniseries. But yeah, when they do create their own island nation of Krakoa, mutants do create their own business sector. They carve out their own sector of the corporate world.
And their big thing to Rogue is that they promise to help her control her abilities. And for proof, they go like, yeah, we did it with Gambit. Like, he was losing control of his powers, but we got things under control, so... And they, what the big thing with Rogue is that like she can't touch people now. Their selling point is like you could kiss your boyfriend.
Yeah, Rogue is always on a quest to control her powers in pretty much every iteration of the character. That's her big thing. So this is a pretty big offer for her.
Yeah,
that they give her.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Wolverine, who is trying to track Rogue and Gambit, but he's hit a dead end. And there's a really cool thing where Storm uses her powers. He's like, oh, the wind went dead on me, so I lost their scent. And she like creates winds for him to track their scent. I think it's a cool combination of their powers there.
Yeah. She asks, like, hey, what's up with you? And he goes, he has this attachment to Rogue. He sees her as the kid sister he possibly never had, because we don't know his backstory fully yet. And that's interesting, because, like, Wolverine generally has, like, a female character he sees as, like, a younger sibling. It's a Jubilee, Kitty, and in the movies, it's Rogue, and in Ultimates, it's still Rogue. So it's like, we haven't seen them interacting too much, but here he goes, like, she's been abused by Magneto and other people, and I sympathize with it. So they're trying to build up this thing with him and Rogue, which is interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't seen too much of that connection earlier in this run.
To be fair, neither does Rogue, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's interesting getting this perspective from him, because when he explains it, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they have so much in common because they've both been experimented on and used by Weapon X, and they've both been used by Magneto. So I can see how he would feel this kinship with Rogue and this bond with her in that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is a classic Wolverine trope for him to be Big Brother Logan or like Daddy Wolverine or whatever. He's always taking someone under his wing or always feeling protective over younger mutants,
Yeah.
especially young women he sees as like his daughters or like younger sisters.
Yeah. It's what's also interesting is that like I think this is them trying to get as much of old Wolverine to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
No,
after
definitely.
yeah, because Millar's Wolverine's very different, and now like we're seeing more alignment, and then Storm gets kind of cozy with him.
Yeah, she starts reassuring him and comforting him, and he's like, "What are you doing? What's up, kid?" And she's like, "I'm not a kid." And then there's a whole full page spread on the last page of this issue where they just kiss, like in front
Yeah,
of the Empire State Building.
they're just making
And
out.
it's a beautiful page, but like,
Yeah,
wow.
and then like okay, so like minor spoilers for like a few pages later. This is the end of this issue, but she's gonna say like I'm technically as old as Jean was when you banged her, and I'm like it's the ship's not bad. It's just the age gap. It's just
Yeah,
so problematic, dude.
because it's different. I ship Wolverine and Storm in the main universe in 616. I think they share a lot of history together and they share this bond through everything they've gone through together and the companionship they've had, with Logan being Storm's lieutenant throughout a lot of the Claremont X-Men era, and the two of them kind of growing and learning from each other a lot. So I love the two of them together there. I love that two-parter in the 90s X-Men series where it shows this like alternate universe where Charles Xavier was assassinated, and it was basically their version of the Age of Apocalypse. There's this dystopian world where Wolverine and Storm are together, and I think they're super cute in that. This version doesn't hit the same because I'm like, she's almost a teenager. Like, she's a
Yeah,
little older than a teenager.
until the next issue, we assume she's a teenager.
Yeah, and
Like
like, I get it. Everyone has a major age gap with Wolverine. He's insanely old. But at the same time, this is going a little
this
far.
is weird for us to deal with someone that age.
Yeah.
Just saying for context.
Yeah,
She's
just
like,
for context, we're like in our late 20s and we're like, "Ugh." We
if
wouldn't do this with like a 19, 20-year old.
no, no, we wouldn't. And I don't know why. I think it's like they made the X Men so much. To be fair, actually, they're. I was gonna say they made them so much younger, but I forget the X Men are originally pretty young in their own comics. But
Yeah.
they're just. I think it's just them trying to rush ahead and everything, and they have to give Wolverine a romantic love interest because he is a massive horn dog who's looking for love. But still,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah. Also, they're making out in front of the Empire State Building, which is purple.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is where my detective work came in. So the Empire State Building is obviously not purple in real life. However, it is purple on months where NYU, which is whose school color is purple, is having a graduation ceremony, and the writer of this, Vaughan, is an NYU art student graduate.
Oh, Brian K. Vaughan graduated from NYU.
Yes, and so it's like this came out November 2004 when NYU was graduating. Vaughn put a little reminder to his alma mater by making the Empire State Building purple, which it is for during those months because he knows NYU.
That's a cute Easter egg. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I also
Well,
just
that's
didn't
awesome.
expect it. Like
Yeah.
it also does add to like the weirdness and even I hesitate to use romance for Wolverine and Storm, but adds to like
I
the
mean,
atmosphere.
yeah, the romantic atmosphere. It is a romantic scene and it's clearly written to be that way.
Yeah, with like everything's dark, but the Empire State Building's lit up, and the top is just purple.
Like,
It
it's a
does,
beautifully illustrated page by Andy Kubert, the splash page of the two of them like kissing in front of the Empire State Building.
which is yeah, it's nice, it's lovely, and also for the scenes with Rogue, like the rooms are purplish because it's purple there. It adds to the weirdness. It helps add to the story.
Yeah,
But then you
totally.
also go like, hey, this is like a guy who's at least 70 making out with an 18-year-old. So
Yeah. To be fair, Wolverine is originally in the next issue. He's like, okay, we can't do this. And she's like, oh, well, what's different about this and Jean? And he's like, okay, well, first, that was a mistake, me and Jean.
and she was an old soul.
Yeah, something about Jean being an old soul. And I'm like, okay, you said it was a mistake. Don't try and justify it after that. Don't try to excuse your behavior.
With my other friends, I call this a Transformers 3, where you take a break from the story to justify some problematic romance, and you just takes away from the story completely. And I'm like, if it takes away from the story and it's gross, just don't do it. Just
Yeah.
just,
Like,
just don't do it. Do it. Or have him do it and just go, hey, it's a creep. Don't try to go like he's a good person. It's okay. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't try to make it look good. I understand the connection between the characters, but it's mainly in the main universe where I ship it, not here.
Yeah. Also, what the hell does old soul mean in this context? It doesn't make sense in 616, and it doesn't make sense in this universe for you to go like Jean is an old soul.
No, it
Especially
doesn't.
because Storm points it out too. She goes like, "I'm an old soul too. I just saw my last boyfriend get blown up by a robot."
And he's like, yeah, that's probably why you're not in a place to be in a relationship. I don't want to hurt you again. But then they get interrupted because Wolverine is able to catch the scent of Gambit because he's able to smell crayfish.
Yeah, okay, this is really weird, but like from now on, Wolverine uses like semi-racist, like I don't know if racist is the right term. He always goes like, "I smell crayfish, I smell Cajun food, it's Gambit," and I'm like, "Hey, you have no idea if that's Gambit if it's just by the food." Second of all, it's like weirdly, I don't know if racist is the right word. It's just so weird.
I mean, it's not that much different from how Wolverine refers to him in the main universe or in the 90s cartoon where he's always calling him Cajun or Gumbo or whatever.
Yeah, but now it's like I could track him down. I smell Cajun food. I'm like, there's Cajun food everywhere. Like you don't know if that's
Yeah.
from him.
But if it's
So,
especially strong, it might be him.
or it might be a guy who works at the restaurant.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But then so he starts chasing after Rogue and Gambit now, and meanwhile, Rogue is pretty skeptical of the Fenris twins back at the Empire State Building, and she's like, "All right, but how do I know like this is legit?" And that's very
Yeah.
smart of her. They're like, "No, like we're not just gonna like offer you something without giving you proof that it works."
Yeah.
So they take her to this other room and they give her this outfit, which is kind of ugly. It's kind of
It's
this weird, like, crop top black suit with like
with
a Fenris logo on the top.
a wolf, a red
Yeah.
wolf on like the breast, and she goes like,
Yeah.
"This is another dumb costume." Actually, it's
Yeah.
dumber, but than the X-Men
Yeah.
costume.
She's literally like, if I wanted another dumb outfit, I would have stayed with the X-Men. Like, what?
Yeah. And then they go, Gambit, attack her,
Yeah. And he starts attacking and she's trying to defend herself. And then
and
he like provokes her.
he makes a reference to how good she was at kissing him.
And so she slaps him, and then she realizes after slapping him with her bare hand that she doesn't absorb his powers or memories, like nothing happens.
Yeah.
And so they reveal, like, yeah, this suit that we gave you, it's able to connect basically to your nervous system so that you can manually turn your powers on and off. You can have your powers on when you need it, when you work for us, ideally. And then when you want to pursue recreational activities, you can turn them off. And Gambit even explains they're legit. They helped me control my powers when they were out of control. They can do the same for you.
I think that's also referenced in 616 where Gambit has brain surgery to limit how strong his powers are.
No, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things in comics where like you blinking and miss it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But Fenris is like going on this whole spiel now. They're like, we want to help all mutant kind, especially the ones below the poverty line, where like all the money that we make, like it goes to these underprivileged mutants and to help those who are in need. We want to help our kind. And
she's like, you guys are like Robin Hood, and I'll be like Marion.
Yeah, literally. So it seems like she is going towards their side in that moment.
Yeah. This is like a weird thing, but Gambit also says like every time before they fix me, every time I had a po' boy, it explode, and I'm like, I know I guess like this in the games and the comics too at times, but like they really are just going like all the Cajun jokes about it.
I mean, they do lean into that in a lot of media, and is a lot in the comics too.
Yeah, I know, but it's just every line about him is a Cajun joke.
Yeah, it can be a little bit much.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And then we cut to Iceman, who is literally like knocking the head off of this ice sculpture he made of Gambit because he's so pissed off. And they're all hanging out like by the Blackbird hangar, and he's just upset, and he's like, come on, we gotta find Rogue. Then he's yelling at Kitty, who's trying to calm him down, and he thinks that she tricked him into kissing her, and she's like, you kissed me, what do you mean?
It's like a classic pig. He goes like, it's her fault that I cheated on Rogue, but also they technically weren't together, which Colossus points out, I think.
Yeah, Colossus is like, you guys went on like 2 dates. She was not your girlfriend, dude. Iceman really annoys me in these issues because he is acting so possessive and hot-headed and jealous all the time.
You mean cold-headed.
Ha ha ha.
But he is like a stupid teenage boy. This is his first kind of relationship. Teenagers are kind of stupid and purely emotional. They're not rational, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just like it really is a lot like Iceman in the main universe to me when in like the 60s going into the 70s when he's with Polaris and he gets so jealous and so overprotective with Havoc and everything and he's just acting like such an idiot and such a jerk.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that. I mean, a lot of it was like probably overcompensating because he was actually gay the entire time. But at the same time, I'm like, it's ugly seeing him like in a relationship like that. I'm like, dude, just chill out.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Was it Dazzler makes some comment and Kitty beats the crap out of her, and Dazzler threatens to blow her up with her powers.
Yeah, and so then Cyclops breaks up a fight between Kitty and Dazzler. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of character drama in these issues in that way, a lot of
Which I
like
like.
internal conflict. Yeah, that's classic X-Men stuff.
Yeah. And Colossus makes a good joke. It's like, hey, if you think it's bad, this is actually an improvement because Colossus and Wolverine actually did try to kill each other at a certain point.
Yeah. He's like Cyclops and Wolverine almost killed each other one time.
Yeah.
Way back during the Mark Millar days. And then finally we cut back to Rogue and the Fenris twins and Gambit, and she's like, hey, this is a great offer and everything, but these powers I have are a reminder, and they're like a curse reminding me all the bad things I've done, and I need to earn that control over my powers. I can't just have a quick fix, especially not like in order so I can just become a thief, no offense.
Yeah.
And I really like this moment because I think Rogue is very mature and smart in these issues. She doesn't just immediately jump at the chance to control her powers. She doesn't immediately accept things at face value. She's like, okay, but how do I know I can believe you? How do I know I can trust you? And then even after she gets the proof, she's like, hey, I gotta actually put in the work. I have to put in the hours. I can't just get this magical fix so I can then become like a corporate spy. And I think that's smart of her. And I think it's a really well-written decision for the character.
I like the fact she doesn't want to be a corporate thief. I do find the idea of this is a quick fix really, really odd, though, but what could I do about it? I feel there's better reasons to say no. That being said, saying no is the wise decision, because if Fenric just goes, oh no, you signed the contract by putting on your clothes.
Yeah, they're like, this was an a priori agreement, so you're locked in.
Like all those weird contracts we now have all the time now.
And Gambit's like, hey, this isn't what we talked about. He's like, I thought you said that she had a choice in this. Like, what the hell?
They just blast him. Like, they put their hands together and a beam of light just blasts him across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is nice because, like, I know Gambit initially seems like a villain in this. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's very true of in the main universe, too. But it's cool showing him being like, hey, this isn't cool. Like, I thought she had a choice in this.
Yeah, you guys are dicks.
Yeah, he seems like a creep and he seems like just this nasty villainous guy. But you can tell like he actually has a good heart and he like cares and he's not out to just like force people into doing things they don't want to do.
He's a thief with a heart of gold, as they say.
That's him. That's our Gambit.
Is it? It's not just Von Strucker team, but like who are those guys where they go like they cut the twins that put their hands together and they shoot a beam of light in the comics?
Oh, well, is that like North Star and Aurora?
No, well, do they do that? Because I think they're fast, super fast. I thought.
Yeah, but they also like are able to do stuff when they like hold hands and put their hands together.
Yeah, but it's just like it's weird. The Von Strucker twins seem to have like they can't shoot lasers. They literally need to be like physically touching to shoot lasers, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to their incest.
Ew.
Yikes.
Yeah. Back in the astral plane where Professor X and Jean are looking for stuff, Jean's in the traditional Marvel Girl costume, which she says was her Halloween costume when she was in 3rd grade, and Professor X has hair.
It's really funny because the astral plane, Professor X explains, like, they kind of see themselves in ways that they like to see themselves a lot of the time. And I think it's a fun nod to the main universe with Jean being in her classic Marvel Girl outfit from the 60s. And seeing Professor X with hair is super funny. Jean is like, oh yeah, but we still like you we prefer you with your Vin Diesel cut. And so it's a really sweet moment where she convinces him to like drop the hair and just like be bald because it's okay being who he is.
It's also, there's like a weird comment, but Vin Diesel is like a weird, he's like a 2000s action star who's still relevant, which is...
Yeah, because the Fast and the Furious movies have been going forever now.
Yeah. He also was in, talking of Marvel, he was in Marvel. He was in a bunch of Marvel movies.
Groot. Yeah.
He was Groot, yeah.
He is Groot.
He is Groot.
He constantly says.
He's also the Groot in all the dubbing, by the way.
Yeah, that's cool. He does it in different languages.
Yeah, because I guess it's cheaper if it's just like 3 words over and over.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, because I feel like so many celebrity references in Ultimate Marvel, you just don't get them.
Mhm.
If you and I, when we started this podcast, or prototype of this podcast in 2021, we noticed they made a lot of references to Britney Spears originally.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And in 2021, she was no longer relevant, so she became relevant again.
She did become relevant again just a couple of years later.
Yeah, okay, that's like a weird coincidence, is my point.
I mean, Britney's always going to be relevant, man.
She was not relevant.
Who doesn't love Britney?
Like, it's just fine, but she was not relevant for, like, most of my life.
She was not like Olivia Rodrigo at that time.
Yeah, and now she is, again.
Yeah, just because of things that have come out about the past.
Yeah, in her book.
Yes, which involves things that we did not even know about that time.
And about so many other celebrities, it turns out.
Yeah. But anyways, then Jean gets this mysterious voice that she hears in the astral plane that tells her to check 350 Fifth Avenue, and she has no idea who's talking to her. And I'm like, is this the Phoenix? Like a separate entity or something? Or is this like something else that we're going to see in a later storyline? Clearly something's being set up here. Because then she tells Professor X, like, oh, hey, let's check here.
And he goes, like, isn't it the State Building?
And he's like, good work, Jean. And she's like, but I didn't. Okay, let's find them, I guess. He thinks it was Jean. Jean knows it wasn't her. So, like, someone was influencing her and talking to her. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see who it is.
Back in the upstairs Empire State Building, Gambit throws a card at the Fenris twins and misses, but it hits Rogue, which disables her suit. And the Fenris twins try to negotiate her. I was like, okay, let's retalk our turkey. And she just takes their powers.
Yeah, her powers are back again, so she just, like, touches both of them and knocks them out.
Yeah, and it's funny because they go like, hey, maybe we should renegotiate the contract. We'll give you a better deal. And she goes, nope.
Yeah, like, nah. And so it's really fun because then you see Rogue and Gambit kind of being this dynamic duo here where then they start fighting off the security as soon as they go down the elevator and emerge. And so Rogue is using like the Fenris's powers against security, and Gambit, of course, is using his. And it's fun seeing them fight side by side. This is the kind of stuff that I love about Rogue and Gambit in pretty much every iteration. They feel like a power couple to me.
Yeah.
You know, they both have like really cool powers, really cool skills, and they just work so well together. Yeah. I could gush forever about Rogue and Gambit.
Oh, I love Rogue and Gambit together. Here, I feel a little uncomfortable just because it's the age gap.
Yeah, it's weird here where she's basically a teenager and he is like twice her age, but other than that, I love them in this story.
It's also interesting because while he's flirting with her, he goes like, did you steal their bank info? And she goes, no. And she goes, oh man, we could have robbed their banks. But she also uses the info to tell Gambit where to aim. And also we found out, so the Fenris twins on the ground, Andreas wakes up and she goes, hey, we're going to downsize our company, wink wink. Wolfgang, which is the name of their minions to go after. And I'm like, okay, that is like the most douchey, annoying thing of like these people just speaking corporate talk. Because I met some people and I'm like, you know, like if you're not at work, you could just talk like a regular person, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
work
I don't
culture at its finest.
Yeah. I mean, we've told later they're based off of Donald Trump, so
Yes.
Which
yikes.
Yeah.
That has aged unfortunately well.
Yeah. Also it's like the Nazi thing where like Fenris is a wolf. Their minions are called the Wolf Pack. Wolves.
Yes.
Yeah. So
no, it's a fun reference.
Yeah.
But then the issue ends after Gambit and Rogue have taken down all these security guys. Wolverine arrives.
Half naked.
Yeah. He spends most of the story just with no shirt on.
Yeah.
He's like half naked. I think for almost the entire story, he has no shirt.
Yeah. Imagine you're just quitting your job. You're going downstairs. You're tired. You're gasping. And there's just this smelly, half naked guy, all hairy, just waiting for you. Calling you Gumbo, I'm after you, bub.
Yeah, that's not a fun way to end the day. That's not good for your commute back home. Yeah,
exactly. Or Gambit. I almost feel sad for Gambit this issue.
Yeah, because the next issue, Gambit really gets it tough. Like, I get that Wolverine is trying to protect Rogue and also kind of wants to get revenge on Gambit, but it goes way too far.
Yeah.
The next issue, issue 53, opens with the X-Men flying in the Blackbird. They're getting ready to, go to the Empire State Building, and they're flying over. Jean has a couple weird moments. She calls the professor Charles, and even Cyclops is like, "You just call him Charles?" And she's like, "Not now."
Yeah.
Like,
it's the 616 joke of them being in love.
Yeah, and I think mainly that joke is about the professor mainly being in love with Jean, because of course he infamously thought that in one of the first issues of X-Men, back when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were on the title, about how she's the one that he loves or something.
Well, she's an old soul apparently,
Yeah.
and she's in.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
also.
to be fair, in the original comics way back when, Professor X was probably thought to be younger, but even then, even if that was the case, it's problematic because like
Yeah.
he's her teacher.
It's also like I think they're really leaning into. I don't know because I've never seen a hint of it before in these comics. Of Jean being this old soul, she's into Wolverine, she's into Professor X.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops is her age and slightly younger, and she's getting kind of bored of him. It's
Yeah, it's pretty messy. Ultimate Jean is not great as a person.
yeah.
And to be fair, neither is Ultimate Professor X.
Or
Maybe
Ultimate
they deserve
Wolverine.
each other.
Actually,
yeah, a lot of these.
Actually, Ultimate Wolverine is to my surprise, it's honestly morally better than the other two. Surprisingly,
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. Ultimate Wolverine has done some nasty stuff. How about leaving Cyclops to die in the Savage Land?
that's why I said like he's surprisingly the most moral of the three.
I don't know.
How about this?
Like,
He's actually sweet with Rogue.
kinda.
Yeah. Okay. They're not good people.
No, definitely not. I think that's the thing. As it's fun that we talk about Ultimate Marvel because a lot of the characters in Ultimate are just not good people.
It's like the 2000s trope of like you gotta make everything as edgy as you can for a bit, and there's a reason we're all tired of it now. And like these days, we just want people to be slightly realistic and also realistically good.
Yeah, I think nuance is one thing, but I think making characters edgy and unlikable and calling that nuance is another thing entirely. I
Yeah.
think you can create some nuance and some interesting dynamics with characters without making them entirely terrible people.
I remember there's a comic writer or a reviewer who made a post like they said like in the 90s we went way too far with like these characters that are just have these massive guns and jackets with lots of pockets, and this is less than one generation removed from that. Like these writers who wrote all those edgy characters are still getting off of that like edgy moment and movement with these characters, who are like, with the exception of Spider-Man characters, are generally more edgy, but like they're more streamlined. They don't have like the really bad fashion of big pockets anymore, but they're still kind of like creeps and dicks.
Yeah. They're still pretty nasty.
Yeah.
It's not very 90s, but it is very overly edgy.
Yeah.
And just cynical, I think, sometimes.
We're just getting off that high of like 90s edginess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Jean is briefing the team on the Strucker twins. She calls them like Trump wannabes, which is like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yep. Ooh,
you know,
that's aged a little too well.
He's like Vin Diesel. He's been being referenced since like the 70s and the 80s, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, his relevance has only increased. Unfortunately.
I love how like when we were like kids and before then, he was just like the reference of like trashy celebrities and businessmen, and since then it's just gone like worse.
It's gotten worse because now he's like a leader of a fascist movement in our country. So
he's a leader of our country, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But Angel is like, oh, I know who they are, because of course, like, he's a rich kid who's been involved in high society.
Not in Ultimate. Remember, he's been living in his mansion solo for the last decade.
Yeah, but at least he knows about them through his parents. He's like, yeah, nobody knows if they're married or if they're siblings. And then Kitty is even like, ew.
What do you mean, even Kitty?
Like, well, I mean, the audience reading the comic is like, ew, but it's fun to see a character on the page also just be like, that is disgusting.
Because it is disgusting. But now we nasty. Have our first Ultimate incest.
Yeah, it's
because we're going to get more soon.
Yeah, you sound excited about that.
Well, look, Ultimate, like, yeah, we had some cannibalism, we had some rapey stuff, we have, like, lots of problematic age gaps, but now we got the last Ultimate edginess bingo, which is the incest. We got all of it now, finally.
You make it sound like it's, like, the title of a miniseries, like Ultimate Incest.
No, we'd be canceled for that. Yeah. We would have like the FEC pull our. Not that we have a license to do this podcast, but like.
Yeah, we're not like on the radio officially.
If we did have Ultimate Incest as a show, we would definitely be banned from like being at 200 yards from a school.
Yes.
Yes, but the Ultimate Universe. If you know people know comics, but they don't know too much about comics, they will go, oh yeah, Ultimate is where they go like super crazy with the incest, the world ending, the killing, the cannibalism, and we had all of that so far, like little bits of everything except incest. So now we could go. Ultimate has now reached the the threshold.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. Wait till you get to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then we get to Wolverine itching for blood, and he just like attacks Gambit, and he starts beating the crap out of him. Despite Rogue being like, "Hey, no, Logan, wait, he's on our side. He's not a bad guy. Stop."
Mhm.
And he's just not listening at all. He's just totally seeing red, and he's just like, "Yeah, don't worry, I got him." Rogue. And I'm like, "You're such an idiot."
Well, he can't hear her. He's like in the mood. He's busy, and she's distracting him. I don't blame Wolverine for this.
I think this is clearly more about revenge for him than it is about Rogue, honestly, because Rogue's fine, and Rogue is like, "Hey, stop."
Well, it's not just revenge for him. The revenge is defending his kid sister, who's Rogue, and also we found out Rogue doesn't know this, by the way. So
yeah, so Rogue is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then we cut to also the Fenris twins, and Andreas is upset. And Andreas like, "You can just let it go. We'll find other assets." And Andreas is like, "No, this is personal."
That filthy white trash girl touched me. That's a privilege reserved only for you.
And I'm like, oh god, with the incest.
Now it's official. It's not hinted. It's official now.
And I mean, this isn't even an ultimate problem, really, because they're incestuous in the main universe anyways. This is just a Fenris twins thing. They're nasty.
Yeah, but then, like, we're gonna get more later with, like, regular characters.
That's true, but that's separate.
Yeah.
And so, like, Andreas lets off an explosion from his rage. Dazzler is like, "Hey," like, she sees it and she's like, "Shouldn't we head towards that?" And Cyclops is like, "Oh, good call." Like, thanks.
That's the most stupid and one of my favorite moments of this comic, because it's both stupid and realistic.
They're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't even see that."
It's like those like kids are like hiding from the cops, and they're like, "Oh, we ran away from the cops. Let's shoot off some like illegal fireworks."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Iceman is just going all in, and he's like, "All right, what are we waiting for?" He's like, "Let's just crash right into the Empire State Building." I'm like, Iceman, 9/11 was not that long ago.
I think
this is too soon.
And Cyclops goes like, "Shield satellites will blow us away before we even hit the building." And I'm like, that's a war crime. You can't put weapons in space in the 2000s.
Shield has probably committed so many war crimes as an organization.
I also don't know what the value of putting weapons on satellites is, because like you go, yeah, it'll prevent 9/11, but it also will blow up a city too. Which then again, maybe is the point. But
and it'll blow up those filthy mutants.
Exactly. Goddamn mutants.
And then Iceman is just threatening Nightcrawler. He's like, "Teleport me inside." And Nightcrawler's like, "I gotta see where I'm going." And he's like, "Do it, or I'll like freeze your like pointy little ears or something."
Yeah, it's like he's a dick to Nightcrawler to defend a girl he wasn't even official yet, who he cheated on. Just funny. Yeah, poor Nightcrawler.
Yeah, so like he forces Nightcrawler to teleport them in, and of course, as soon as they get in, Fenris just easily blasts them and takes them down.
Yeah, and they discuss like maybe she should be the Rogue replacement, and then Andreas goes, "Well, he's a cheater, and I don't want disloyalty in my company."
Yeah. I got him. And then Wolverine is still beating up Gambit, and the poor guy is like begging for mercy even, and I'm like, "Come on, dude."
And he says, "Merci." That's how your people say thank you. Wolverine says that, and I'm like, okay, what is up with this anti-French racist? Like, I don't even know what the term is in Ultimates, because like Captain America was like, "What do you think this A stands for? France?"
Yeah.
And now like Wolverine's going, "Is that what your people say? Merci? That's thank you, isn't it?" I'm like, okay, we're just being dicks now.
I mean, Wolverine is just being a dick here. Yeah.
But Ultimate just has these weird trends going of like anti-French.
That was a very early 2000s thing. I remember growing up. Everyone just insulting the French constantly.
Freedom fries?
Yep. I remember that.
It's also sad because I think in hindsight the French were right. But
then Rogue just threatens Wolverine with a gun and it's like, "Hey, back off.
Or we're going to put your healing factor to the test."
Yeah, which is like, yeah, if he doesn't get the message now, like, he's not going to ever get it. And then we get this cool scene, too, the sequence where Angel flies Colossus to the window where the Fenris twins are, basically just throws him, and so, like, he turns into his metal form and crashes through the window, which is super cool.
It's also funny, because, like, Colossus and Angel are saying, like, "Will this work?" And he goes, "I think it'll work. It's worth a shot."
Yeah, why not? Like, he has to carry Colossus in his human form, too, because he would be too heavy in his metal form. But it's a really cool scene. Colossus has them, and they're giving their, like, stupid corporate alibi, and they're just like,
"We're at a cancer fundraiser. We're good people."
And Jean's like, yeah, you can save it. We know you're lying. Those were shapeshifters you sent to this leukemia fundraiser. Save the alibi for the cops.
And it's funny because like we don't know what happened. Like Gambit just attacked us one day.
Yeah, and she's like, okay. Jean is pretty much like, we can deal with these guys later. Right now, finding Rogue is our priority because even if we do turn them into the cops, their lawyers will have them back on the Cayman Islands or something.
Yeah.
And so the Strukers are like, we don't know who this rogue or person is or this Gambit person, but we would probably recommend checking the lobby, which is their just way of being like, they're downstairs. And Rogue has this really interesting scene where she ends up calling out Wolverine for all his hypocrisy and is like, hey, he's got shady things that he's done in the past. He's done some pretty bad things, but you should know that better than anyone. I should know that too. We've both done horrible things and we're trying to make up for it, just like him.
Yeah.
And then she does go a little too far because she's like, you haven't changed a bit. She's like, you're just an animal. And I'm like, geez. And he like stops and he hangs his head in shame.
And he cries.
Yeah, she literally makes him cry. You can see tears coming from his eyes.
I don't think he's cried so far in Ultimate yet. This is his first time. Yeah.
As far as I can tell, I've never seen Wolverine cry like this before.
I think in Ultimate, when you offend him, he just gets angry, goes in the wilderness and kills like bears, and here he actually cries. Kind of like 616, like when he stares at a mirror of all the people he killed and he immediately starts bawling.
Yeah, no, totally. From Ten of Swords. That was a cool moment.
Yeah. I think that was kind of sweet, like in both this one and here, where it shows like, no, for all his faults, he is like aware of some of his problems, and he does want to be a good person. I mean, he is a killer, but he's not remorseless. He's not inhuman, and he's not an animal like he's accused of being. And he was in the Millar run. Like, to be fair, he was
for sure. In the Mark Millar run, he was just an asshole. So,
and other than hitting on like high schoolers, Gambit, he hasn't done anything too bad. Like, yeah, he steals from other big companies, but like he's never been a terrorist. He's just been kind of a thief who's mostly harmless or tries to be harmless,
kidnapping people and stuff. But
okay, but like he didn't know he was gonna hurt her, and even then, like he's mostly harmless. Like, it's a thing.
Mostly, yeah. He's got a heart of gold, like you're saying.
Yeah. Objectively, he's a better person than Rogue and Wolverine so far, except for the kid stuff.
Yeah, that's nasty. But
yeah,
Storm shows up and is like, "What happened?" And Wolverine's crying, and he's basically just like, "I don't belong with you guys." And then he's like, does that annoying, stupid romance trope where he walks away and he's like, "I don't like you. I never liked you." And I'm like, okay, I roll my eyes at stuff like that.
I mean, it'll be good if you don't like her, Logan, because you're like 8 times her age, but okay.
Yeah, but that's just like a stupid romance trope where people are trying to push other people away and they say stupid stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I've seen this a million times.
So you do watch the rom-coms?
Of course, I never said I didn't. But then Storm shows up afterwards and she chews out Rogue when Wolverine leaves. She also calls out Rogue for hypocrisy, saying, "Didn't I have to talk you down from killing Sinister the other day? Logan loves you like, he's your brother."
And she's like, what?
Yeah, Rogue's like shocked. She's like, I had no idea. What?
Yeah.
And that gives her something to think about. And meanwhile, they're leaving and Gambit is like, you should come with me, Rogue. Yeah, and she's very hesitant about it at first.
And she says, don't call me Rogue. Like, I prefer to be called Marion, which is like, they make a joke earlier about Gambit being Robin Hood, and she's the Marion to his Robin Hood. And I'm like, okay, this is too...
I don't like the name reveal. It's a little ridiculous. It's a little on
Robin
the nose.
Hood thing?
Yeah, and also, like, where the fuck did that come from? What?
Also, Marion in the Robin Hood stores isn't a thief. She's just like the girl.
It's weird. I don't like it at all. I'm like, this is kind of dumb, but whatever.
Yeah.
But she's very hesitant at first, and she's like, I'll think about the weird circumstances where we met. And he's like, yeah, this stuff happens. Couples who have survived plane crashes together, and we're the only ones who understand each other. And he's like, you've seen inside my head, you know my memories. And she's like, I forgot. But he's like, let me help you remember. And she's like, I can't touch you. And he's like, I'm just built different. Basically, that's not literally what he says, but he kisses her. And it's a beautiful scene in the rain when they kiss.
Yeah.
And if you forget about the age difference for a second, it's beautiful.
The X-Men show up for the kiss. Dazzler goes like, isn't he like twice your age? That's hot. And I'm like, oh, Dazzler.
Yeah, Dazzler's like, that's hot.
You're so problematic too, Dazzler.
Yeah,
but you don't do anything illegal, to be fair to Dazzler. And
as far as we know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the drugs are illegal, but...
Yeah.
They're illegal now, and they were definitely much more illegal back then. But there's also a scene where Rogue stops kissing Gambit, looks at Bob, and goes, see how that feels?
Yeah.
which is like, you got him, but also
Damn.
Gambit's like kind of an old guy.
Yeah, it is weird, but I think it's the panel where they're all just staring at her too afterwards is so funny because they're all like, "What? What are you doing?"
This is like a guy twice your age who kidnapped you, you know?
Yeah, and then Rogue's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna drop out of the institute." Jean's like, "But we're a family," and she's like, "Listen, thank you guys for coming after me. I gotta take some time, take some space." And she leaves, and everyone's kind of like just sad and like looking down, standing in the rain at the end. There's this splash page at the end of everyone standing there silently, looking down as it pours down rain. Except Cyclops, who's kind of just looking up for some reason. Maybe it's just because he's the leader. But like, I'm like, dude, what the? Read the room, man.
It's supposed to be a grim ending, I think, because, yeah, Rogue's safe, and they took down some incest Nazis, but, like, the thing is, if the X-Men believe in this mission, and the mission is backed by, like, their numbers, well, they just lost a member, and so it's like
Yeah.
a slap in the face to their mission.
Well, they lost two. They lost Wolverine and Rogue.
I think Wolverine's back. Like, my thing with this, and you and I were just talking about this, I get annoyed with Wolverine doing this dance every other issue of him joining the X-Men, leaving the X-Men, joining again. But
Yeah.
also, like, there's some realism to it in that, like, people with problems backslide and get better, they backslide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes
That's
it's
true. Progress is not linear, and I
Yeah.
think that's very realistic to people who struggle and who suffer through all kinds of like recovery when it comes to like physical recovery or mental recovery with like mental illness or addictions or things like that.
Yeah, and in Wolverine's case, reminds me of people like who are like pilots or like soldiers who got like stranded in the woods or an island for like years, and like they always try to go back to the forest at a certain point. And yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I'm getting tired of reading it every other issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
It's an
take
old
on it.
trope. I think Wolverine leaving the X-Men is a trope as old as time, honestly, when it comes to it. I don't think there's anything more X-Men than Wolverine just leaving the X-Men for the zillionth time, because we're like,
Yeah.
all right, he'll be back.
Yep. That kind of reminds me of I've seen in like if you guys ever watched the show Batman Beyond, where they in the future it's revealed the old Batman was never more than a part timer. Kind of
Yeah,
like
for
that.
the Justice League.
Yeah, you go like maybe you just gotta have a broody guy just be a part timer, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the similar thing. Batman leaving the Justice League for the zillionth time.
Yeah.
Or being like, I'm a loner. Batman and Wolverine are very similar in that sense, where they're like, we're both brooding loners, but we also have a billion adopted children and join like a zillion different teams and have this many team ups across the universe.
They also merge in like the amalgamation universe or whatever.
Yes, that's right. Become Dark Claw.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, any final thoughts on these issues, Josh?
I think it's MIP's great arc, full of the classic, ultimate problematic tropes, the age gaps. I don't know if the age gaps were written to be problematic, or if they're written because in the 2000s, despite the fact it was illegal then too, which people seem to forget, it was more culturally okay for some reason. With like,
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, with like all the stories of people go like, yeah, I dated my professor, or the celebrity was okay with dating a 16-year-old. We all just were okay with it. It was illegal back then too, so when people say it was okay back then, it wasn't. We were just for some reason okay with it when we shouldn't have been, because it was illegal then too. So I don't know if it's like comic book writers just being obtuse about it, or them thinking it's problematic and writing it anyway.
Yeah, it seemed like the way it was written in both these instances in these comics, like it was okay, like Wolverine and Storm, and then Gambit and Rogue. The fact that these men are at least twice the age of the woman they're with seemed more or less fine.
Well, in the case of Rogue, she's not even a woman; she's a little girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
she's a teenager.
Yeah, she drops out of high school.
So that was weird. Yeah, and she drops out of high school to run off with Gambit.
Yeah.
But I do love the Rogue and Gambit dynamic in this. I love the Rogue storyline, the character arc she has in this. And I think there are some issues, especially with Wolverine backsliding again into being like kind of an asshole and an idiot, and like Iceman kind of being this jealous, overly possessive guy. But I think for the most part, it was a pretty fun story and like a pretty quick storyline, like this 4-parter they have.
That's the thing that bothers me about the storyline. It's like, it's so good, but in the back of her mind are these weird age gap things, so.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've seen worse, and we will see worse in the Ultimate Universe.
We'll see worse in the Ultimate X-Men, actually.
Yes, we will, later on.
Yeah.
And we have seen worse. Next episode, we're going to keep going with the Ultimate Universe. We're going into Ultimate Fantastic Four once again. We're going to be doing Ultimate Fantastic Four issues number 21 through 26. So I'm very excited for that one. I think it's going to be Mark Miller writing again, and Greg Land on art, which is yikes. But that should be interesting. And yeah, Josh, in the meantime, where can our listeners email us if they want to write in and say anything?
You guys can always reach us at ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. Remember, that's comics plural, podcast singular, so ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com.
That is correct. And you can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast. Comment on our reels, our TikToks, our YouTube shorts. We have full episodes with video on YouTube as well. And like all of our stories and reels and everything all across social media. We love all of our followers, and thank you all so much for listening. And yeah, write into us if you'd like to email us at ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Until next time, take care, everyone, and make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye-bye.